it's Jess from Meyer Hatchery. June 15th is National Nature Photography Day, and I thought it would be fun to share some tips and tricks with all of you when photographing your flock. I love photography. Photography is my life, and I love every opportunity that I have to take some great pictures of the birds that we have in our own flock. Let's take a look at some of those tips to help you get the perfect picture. My first tip is to make sure whatever you're using to photograph your flock with, that you have it set to the proper settings for the highest quality photos. You can get the same great results using a digital camera or a DSLR as you really can with some of these cell phones that we have nowadays. Make sure you go into your settings, look for high definition photos, make sure that your resolution is really big, and this is going to allow you to crop if you need to, as you know, after you've taken all your pictures, or if you want to get prints of certain sizes. Now that your gear is all set up, it's time to go take your photos. But wait, stop. Make sure you take a look at the clock. You want to make sure that you're taking pictures of your flock at the right time of day. You don't want to take your photos at noon when the sun is really high and really harsh. You're just going to wash out your photos. Really good time to take your pictures is an hour after sunrise and an hour after sunset. They call these the golden hours. At that time, you have really nice soft lighting and you can get some really great photos. Another tip is you want to make sure it's not too dark, and you never want to use the flash, especially with nature photography and taking pictures of your flock. There are times that a flash is appropriate, but when taking pictures of your flock, it creates very harsh photos, and you want more natural photos when taking pictures of your birds. You've looked at the clock, it's the right time, your equipment's all ready, it's time to take our pictures. Wait. There's just a few more things you want to remember. You want to make sure that you have good, clean backgrounds. You don't want anything that's going to distract from your subject that you're taking pictures of. A barn or natural wood makes a really great background. Tall green grasses make a really great background as well. Take a look at the bird that you're going to be photographing. If it's a bird that maybe is all white, like an all white silkie, then some tall grasses work really great as contrast. If you have a bird that's maybe really dark, maybe some wood or a red barn makes a really great background because it's going to create that contrast from your bird to their background. Another thing you want to keep in mind is your birds like to run. I mean, that's what they do, right? So if you really want to get a really good picture, I suggest kind of using fencing or the natural fencing you have in your area. I know here we have a lot of these tall grasses behind us, and usually the birds don't like to run into those grasses, so I take a lot of my photos there. I also like to take a lot of photos in front of my barn where I have fencing that's off the camera, so if the birds run to the left or to the right, at least they're a little bit more contained. You can also set up some temporary chicken wire fencing while you're taking your photos if you want to keep your birds in a specific location. Another thing that you can do to help you take really good pictures is have bribes for your flock. I know, it sounds silly, but it's good to have some strategically placed treats where you like to take pictures of your flock, and it's going to keep them kind of in that location for you. Another thing that you can do is if you have somebody with you, a little bit of clapping or snapping your fingers goes a really long way in getting your birds to look up so you can get that perfect shot. Another really, really important tip is you don't want to be taking pictures of your birds kind of like looking down at them. You want to get on their angle. And yes, this means sometimes laying on the ground. Like this here, I've done this many, many times. But you're going to get a more natural looking photo of your birds, and it's going to show all their beautiful feathers, their legs, everything. You want to make sure wherever you're sitting to take your pictures that it's not too close to kind of make your bird feel like it's confined. You want it to look natural. but you also don't want to be too far away. If you have a digital camera that allows you to zoom naturally, that's great. But I wouldn't suggest doing a lot of zooming, especially with like a cell phone, because you kind of lose resolution when you zoom too much. So you want to make sure you're using just a good natural setting on your camera and you're not doing a ton of zooming in on your photos. Speaking of angles, we talked about getting on their level. And while you're down on your bird's level, take some photos at different angles. So maybe a little to the left or a little to the right or just slightly up or slightly down. And take various versions of your particular photo that you're trying to get. You don't want to take just one photo and say, oh, that's it, I'm done. It's actually really fun to just take a whole bunch of photos and go back through them at the end. And sometimes you get really, really amazing shots that you never would have thought you could have gotten with your camera. My last tip is to be patient and have fun when taking photos. Birds will be birds. You may have a bird that's going to stand and let you take its picture and look great, and you may have a bird that says, nope, I'm not into this, and runs off. It's totally okay. It's part of the adventure of photography. You never know what's going to happen when you go to take your photo. There are so many different tips out there for taking photos of your flock, and these are just a few tips that I found to be very helpful for me. And as you take more photos of your flock, you're going to find things that work really, really good for you as well. Hopefully, I've given you some inspiration to get out and take some photos of your flock. If you have any questions, be sure to leave those in the comments below. As always, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click that bell so you're the first to know every time a new video has been released. Be sure to check the description below. There's a special coupon there that you can use at meyerhatchery.com to purchase a little something special for your flock. Thank you so much for watching.